Whether you thank me or not, by Krishna's mercy. तुलसी परिक्रमा कर, तुलसी सेवन. निरंतर कृष्ण नाम करिह कीर्तन. Quote, after planting the tulasi tree before your house, you should daily circumambulate that tulasi plant, serve her by giving her water and other things, and continuously chant the Hare Krishna, maha-mantra. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 24, 261.
I guess this is a question that plagues every generation, no matter the specific time period. Whether you are living within a bustling spiritual society, which is a movement rapidly expanding across the world, or are all by yourself, with nary a trusted guide around. Whether you are a seasoned veteran adept to the practices, or just a neophyte with boundless enthusiasm to do the right thing. The question is how to find a genuine spiritual guide. The pretenders are abundant. They are also well dispersed. I can tell just by their presentation in front of a camera. Indeed, the more camera time they crave, the more fake they appear. This is according to my opinion, in the isolated case of my observations, in my theory which has developed over time. Let's focus specifically on the bhakti tradition of spirituality. It can be known as Vaishnavism, if considering along those lines. The allegiance is to the Almighty, who is the source of everything. The allegiance is towards the personal form, identifying with a distinct individual. You attribute the entire universe and more to this one individual, who also expands himself through such a creation, in order to not leave a single space lacking his presence. What are some determining factors in the assessment? I understand that people need to be bold in order to preach. They cannot be shy. It is important to keep an entourage. No one listens to the poor man. If they are loud and prominent on the outside, how can we tell if they are humble, kind, and devoted on the inside? It seems that wherever you turn, these leaders with many followers are engaged in one abominable activity after another. I would rather not get burned.
An easy way to tell is to see the response to a lack of interest. If the spiritual leader visits my area, makes an impassioned plea, asks that I follow along and attend more of their group's meetings, what would happen if I decline? What will the response be from the spiritual leader? In addition, what happens if I thank them profusely? Is the leader dependent on my praise? Are they craving my appreciation? What is it exactly that they are looking for? What is their objective? Are they only interested in growing the institution that they founded? Are they after name, fame, honor, and recognition? We have the historical example of Narad Muni, who also happens to be one of the earlier links in the chain of teachers known as parampara. There is a succession of disciples. That is how the knowledge becomes available in every period of time. The origin of that knowledge is the Supreme Person, who can also reinstitute the succession if ever the chain should break. Evam parampara praptam, imam rajarshyo vidhu, sakale neh mahata, yogo nashtaha parantap. Quote, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Lord Krishna, Bhagavad-gita 4:2. Narad Muni travels from place to place. He cannot stay anywhere for too long. He dispenses invaluable wisdom, appropriate to the time and circumstance. He not only shares philosophical truths, but also provides practical suggestions for improving life. This is for the affected individual, who essentially becomes the disciple. There is the example of the interaction with the hunter, who happened to be treating animals in a cruel way. Through a few simple questions, Narad was able to convince the hunter to give up the dreaded occupation. That was removing the negative, but what about the positive? What should be the work going forward? What is the replacement? How would the hunter provide for himself? Nivritti is not difficult to identify, but what about pravritti? Narad suggested that the hunter leave home, wear simple clothes, and set up a kind of ashram near a sacred body of water. Worship a tulasi plant every day while also chanting the glories of Sri Krishna. This would be sufficient not only for giving a purpose to life, but also for supporting that life moving forward. As far as we know, Nara did not receive any royalties from whatever the transformed hunter gained from his new life. The hunter could thank Nard over and over, but Nard wants only that others follow the same blissful life of devotion to Sri Hari. Whether someone thanks him or not, Narad is always wishing well for others. In closing, whether always wishing well, the easiest way to tell that spiritual leader a fake or a genuine appeal to make. Because with no interest their own, reason for their compassion shown, not dependent whether to accept or decline, for only helping consciousness of mine.